Today we're going to do the biochemical oxygen demand test. It's a 5-day test. It's referred to as BOD. We'll get the dissolved oxygen reading on today, and then we'll come back 5 days later and check the DO once more. And we have a formula that we use to figure out the BOD test. First, BOD in milligrams per liter. First of all, we have a YSI meter here. We have our probe hooked up to it. The first thing that you want to do is put just a small amount of water in there, maybe around an inch of water, and you want to stopper the bottle, shake it vigorously for about 30 seconds, and also rinse off the probe and the membrane, and then put it in the bottle for 10 minutes. That way it'll stabilize and you're ready to calibrate the meter. And that's what we're going to do first, is calibrate the meter. And you can just calibrate according to your manufacturer's instructions that come along with the meter. And what I'm going to do here is, let me get back to the main mode. Okay, I am at the main mode now for the display. I'm going to press the soft key that's right up under calibrate, and it gives me choice of auto calibrate, DO cal, that's the manual calibration, and I'm going to press the soft key under auto cal, and it says DO calibration saved. Okay, and now I am ready for the next step in the BOD test. For the BOD test, we will need to make up some nutrient buffer water. We do this by adding some pillows of BOD nutrient buffer pillows. This will give the bugs some nutrients while they're consuming the oxygen. Okay. And this just DI water has been aging in the 20-degree incubator for around a week at least, and we're going to add these buffer pillows to it. You might want to just shake them up a little bit to mix them. And just take some scissors, cut off the tops. Okay, we're going to pour each one of these in here, and each one of these is for 3 liters of water, and we have 9 liters in this carboy. And also, just to make sure we have all of our nutrient buffer, I'm going to just come down here to the DI spigot and rinse these pillows out back into the water. I'm going to cap it. Invert it a few times to mix. And now we have our dilution water made that we're going to use in our BOD test. We also want to make sure we check the pH of our samples before we do the BOD test. It's important that the pH be between 6 and 8 units. As far as the calibration goes on your meter, you can use these pH buffers. I'm using 4, 7, and 10 pH buffers, and just calibrate according to your manufacturer's instructions. If you have a pH that's under 6 or greater than 8, then you'll need to make adjustments with a 1 normal sodium hydroxide or a 1 normal sulfuric acid, according to what your pH is. And then when you adjust it, it needs to be between 7 and 7.2, according to standard methods. Over here is the pH meter we're using, and I have my sample here ready to check. It's already calibrated. I'm going to press pH. and I have a 7.81. Now we're ready to continue to the next step. Now we're going to start filling our bottles for the BOD test. First of all, we'll take 2 bottles for the blank. Now at the end of our at the end of the 5 days, our blank shouldn't be any greater than a 0.2 difference, plus or minus difference. Now we're going to fill them with our buffer water that we've prepared by slowly adding them to the bottle. If you're using the disposable bottles, you can just go up to the little ridge at the top. Next, we're going to fill our seed control bottles. These bottles will be filled with our nutrient buffer water and some of the seed, which I'm using the supernatant of raw sewage, the influent. Just make sure that it settles at least an hour before you start to test. And you're just going to go right up under the surface with the pipette and get the supernatant. First of all, let's put a little bit of water in our bottles. Now we're going to take a 10 ml pipette. And I'm going to put 12, 15, and 18 in these bottles. Just go right up under the surface. So 12. It's 10. 15. And there's 18. I'm going to fill these to the top with the buffer dilution water. now we are going to put up 3 of the glucose glutamic acid standards. First, we'll put a small amount of dilution water in each. Using the seed again, I'm going to add 3 mils of seed to the GGA standards. If you get a little bit over on the line, I would go up to the above the surface and just or a waste bucket and drop a little bit out, because you'd never want to go up under the surface of the influent trying to dispense the influent out. It will cause a stir. Okay, so 3 mils in each one of these. Now we have our GGA standard, which this one's purchased from North Central Labs. We want to put 6 mils of standard, which those are typical amounts for a standard: 3 mils of seed and 6 mils of standard. Now we want to fill these up. Now we're going to fill our bottles for our water sample. And you want to make sure that your sample is, the pH is between 6 and 8, of course. And if not, adjust it to 7 to 7.2. And also you want it to be 20 degrees plus or minus 3 degrees before sampling. And if you need to, if it's been cold or in the refrigerator, make sure you vigorously shake it, let it settle down at least 15 minutes before testing. So now I'm going to take the sample, in one of these bottles I'm going to pour up 294. Another bottle, I'm going to pour up 180. Another bottle, I'm going to pour up 150. And I'm also going to add 6 mils of seed to each one, so that'll put some bugs in here. Now we're going to fill it up to the ridge with the BOD buffer water. Okay, that takes care of our samples. If you need to get CBOD, which is carbonaceous BOD, you will want to add 2 shots of nitrification inhibitor to each sample. So that's what I'm about to do now. Just turn it upside down. This is a HOC nitrification inhibitor. Just add 2 shots to each bottle. Okay, now we're ready to read. I'm going to read our blanks first. So when you put the probe in the bottle, turn the stirrer on, and the DO is stabilized. In the case of this meter, the number will stop and there'll be an asterisk popped up beside the milligram per liter units. So this is 8.45. Now I'm going to read the next sample. Okay, after we've read our samples, then we're going to put the stopper in and the cap to prevent any evaporation during the incubation of 5 days. Now we're ready to put all the samples in the incubator for 5 days. It's 5 days plus or minus 6 hours, and then we'll take them out and read them and get the 5-day DO. 5 days, and we're going to take the BOD samples out, and we're going to get the final DO. It's been 5 days. We've got our samples out of the incubator, and now we're going to read our final DO. First, you would want to calibrate your DO meter one more again. We're going to take all the stoppers and caps off. Then we'll start reading. I'm going to read the first one, and as an example, I'll just read the first one of each set. Now we're ready to take our initial DO and our final DO and put it into the formula and figure out our BOD in milligrams per liter.